So I wanted to provide a Noble Ape update of the stuff that I've been working on. This is what I've been working on recently. This is on a Windows machine my wife actually got with a quilting machine from the tech shop. For folks in San Jose will remember the tech shop. This was one of the machines. We don't have admin privileges for it. So anyway, but it will still run the Noble Ape simulation. So I have a number of users that run Noble Ape for long periods of time on Windows machines, and they were lamenting that the command line version was the only version that was available for them. So I redusted off the non-command line version, the graphical version. And unfortunately for Windows, I don't think there's a combined graphics command line version. It would be relatively easy to write, but it's just something I haven't done. So this uses the latest weather simulation, and actually it's got all the bells and whistles that people would like to have. So you can add, for example, a brain code of the underlying apes if you want to see the brain code processing. Let's just move it around a little bit. So it has all the functionality basically of the Mac version, the GUI Mac version. Except currently it doesn't have the beautiful grayscale clouds. So I should talk a little bit about that. I've been working on Planet Noble Ape, which is roughly 6 times these simulations on the spheres of a cube, which actually become a planet. And I've been working on this while we've been having our electrical work done. There's been a bunch of additional stuff being done in parallel to this. And there are a few, let's say, imperfections. Maybe let's call them bugs that I don't particularly like with this. So I have a switch currently to go back to the old weather simulation. This is actually at landscape resolution, so it's not the original weather simulation. It's actually a modified version of that. And my hope is that I'll be able to get this new version with a planetary simulation working with the existing simulation, and then maybe what will happen is we just move to a planetary simulation for Noble Ape. So you'd see a sphere rather than this. You'd be able to move around on a sphere accordingly. So that's up and coming work. I've also been working on what's loosely referred to now as the Mushroom Boy, although I probably won't be using that name going forward. And the Mushroom Boy is taking Noble Ape into an urban environment, so it's an urban simulation. It would be nice, actually. So what I've done with that currently is try to port it to Core Graphics, which is Apple's technology. But looking on this Windows stuff, I really should just port it to some primitive which I can use for both Mac and Windows, which I think I'll probably do. So that way we can get all the benefits of running it on Windows as well as Mac. And it'd be nice actually to write a really optimized graphics engine to do the underlying stuff for that too. So stay tuned, that will be upcoming. And yeah, this has been what I've been working on recently. There's about 2 months worth of work that's gone into Planet Noble Ape, which unfortunately isn't accessible here, but I've done a bunch of modifications. We've got a fellow in Germany who runs a simulation for long periods of time, and also Keith, who's a Windows user who's motivated this update to the Windows version so he can run for long periods of time. So the long-term execution of Noble Ape is something that a couple of users have contacted me with recently. It's certainly been something that I've been working on. So that is the Noble Ape update for September, and I'll probably record one of these videos maybe, I don't know, every quarter or something, just to give updates associated with what's going on with the simulation. This brain code's actually really interesting. Let's just talk about the brain code a little bit. So what is going on here is, as the ape runs, it has external brain code, which is like what it talks about, and it has an internal brain code, which is like what it's thinking about, basically. So when it interacts with another ape, which hasn't happened here, let's find one where they are interacting. Okay, these two. They're not actually talking currently because they're asleep. But when they communicate, what happens is they basically communicate the external brain code to one another, and then this has manipulatable properties in the internal brain code as well. It's probably better to think of this like a language, really, between the apes. So they have a kind of internal language of the mind, an external language of the kind of spoken word. But when they interact, they have an opportunity to share language and ideas through that. And yeah, the specific animation that needs to go on with that as well. I probably need to debug why we're not getting the specific animation here. Because when you have two apes interacting, they put out like little feelers to communicate, which should be shown graphically. So a little bit of debugging needed to see what's happened with that. And part of the movement to GitLab is also to write automated tests to deal with these kind of things. So to produce tests to say, why aren't the apes communicating? I think there's a test in there that does that currently, but I just probably need to wire it up better in GitLab. Anyway, so this is another aspect of Noble Ape, displayed graphically. Let me think if I can find anything else of interest here. The old weather simulation I'm just getting a bit jaded with. So I prefer the planetary weather simulation, but unfortunately there are just some issues, specifically with running on Windows, that I need to work through with that. So we're still using the old weather, unfortunately.